Okay. Welcome to the paired fighting workshop. This is not something that we normally teach during our review times during the year. This is a special thing that is only taught at conventions and stuff when the people at the convention want it, like they've done like twice during our times with Fanime and once doing Anime Expo. Hey, paired fighting truthfully has been romanticized. It is popular, it looks badass, it looks cool, and to a certain extent, it kind of is common sense. You have two hands. Why not use two things instead of just one? All right? In all honesty, the answer to that is power and control. You do have more power when you use two hands on a long sword or a bastard sword. You do have a lot more power when you use two hands on a katana. All right? And quite frankly, if you're German and you have a Zweihander, you want two hands on it. Because not everybody is built like Tom 2 and Tom 3 that can hold a Zweihander with one hand and retain perfect control. Although I question that too.
I'm not sure
you know?
Perfect control.
Right. If you're Venetian and you have a flambarge, yeah, you're gonna want two hands on it. But the truth of the matter is that historically, paired fighting was not really done. There's a couple of reasons for this, okay? Now, of course, if you're in the middle of the battlefield, your shield is broken, there's three of them against you, yeah, pick up another weapon. It was done out of necessity, okay? But you're not going to generally walk around town or in your army camp or in your military camp with paired weapons, all right? Why? One, it is hard to match a pair of swords. Most soldiers, most troopers didn't have the money for it. Well, what if I'm a noble and I have the money? Well, you would be looked upon as a wussy. Because a real man only needs one sword.
Does it say the same for shield?
What? We're going to get to that in a second.
I'll see what it
All right.
to a duel.
How many people remembers? Okay. He used to get laughed at all the fairs that he goes to because he walked around with a pair of longswords on his belt. And they kept laughing at him until they got into the pit and he whooped their ass. But the truth of the matter is it just wasn't done, okay? It wasn't gentlemanly. And quite frankly, if you think about it, if you're in town, if you're in camp, if you're at base or whatever, wearing two swords around, and that's just swords by the way, was not practical, all right? You can't sit down at the bar really because now both sides are, you know what I mean? Like, before, you can use a bar stool and put it on one cheek or the other. Now you can't. Usually at this time, somebody jumps up and says, but Ben, what about if it's paired daggers?
Hey Ben, what about if it's paired daggers?
All right, number one, it is very hard to find a pair of matching daggers. And number two, truthfully and honestly, if you're remember my dagger talk on our panel videos, daggers were a status symbol. And you only need one. I am a man-at-arms. I am able to bear arms. I only have one dagger. If you have two, it pretty much automatically says, hi, I'm a bad guy. I'm a thief. I'm an assassin. You know? So it wasn't really done. It wasn't really done and it wasn't very practical. Okay? Going to Tom 1's question, what about sword and shield? Well, a shield is not a weapon. A shield is a protective covering. A shield is a side thing. Now, we know, having had the shield class here with the Twilight Knights, a shield is a weapon. But the truth is, it wasn't considered that way. And arming a guy with a shield and a sword is a lot cheaper than arming a guy with a pair of swords. Okay? Usually also at this time, somebody will come up and say,
But Ben, what about katana and wakizashi or tanto?
Now, the truth of the matter is that even in Japan, that was considered gauche. Okay? Musashi came up with the idea of paired fighting. Okay? And yes, he's the greatest duelist that the Japanese history has ever known, blah, blah, blah. By the way, he only lost one duel in his entire life. Did you know that? Yeah. Versus a farmer with a staff.
Huh.
Yes, Allie?
What if you're a duelist? Like you primarily wield like a finesse weapon and you have an offhand?
Now we're going to talk about that. Okay? However, paired does come into play in certain aspects. All right? One, if you're a duelist and you're fighting with a finesse weapon, a saber, a side sword, a back sword, kind of a messer, okay? Or a, what was the last one? Saber, or rapier, okay? Yeah, it was very common then, and it was okay back then to have a dagger or something else. Sometimes it was necessary. You're walking home, it's cold, it's rainy, stormy, and dark. This is when people are going to try to mug you. You can use your cloak as an offhand weapon. Weapon! We're going to talk about that in a little bit. You can use your turkey leg as an offhand weapon and bludgeoning tool. You can use your cup. But if you look at all of these, what do you notice first and foremost? 90% of it is out of necessity. Okay? Of course, you're in the middle of a battle. Your shield is down. You're fighting off 3 people. You're going to pick up that short spear and use it. You're going to pick up that axe to go in the offhand. Very few people actively go out with matching paired weapons. That was not really historically done. And now I confuse people and say, except for those people from what we consider pagan and barbaric countries, like, oh, I don't know, the Vikings. The Vikings did have paired weapons. It was usually an axe and a sword. It was usually a dagger and an axe. It could be a hammer and an axe. It could be paired axes. Notice the theme here? They like axes. Now, we don't know why. It's something that's been debated for a long time. Is it an economic necessity that they didn't have a lot of iron and what they had was used for other things like, well, I don't know, ship fixtures? Was it an ease of use thing? Because it honestly is a lot easier to train somebody to use an axe than it is to train somebody to use a sword. All right? Because it starts with hit the man. And that's pretty much where it goes. Is it a usefulness thing? Because a sword by itself is a sword. It's used to kill people. It is a burden. It is a pain in the butt. It is a curse, not a blessing. Believe that or not, but it's true. An axe can also be a tool. Now, granted, the actual fighting axes that you see for sale on www.everybodysafuckingviking are more fancy than what would normally be used as a tool. But truthfully, basically, a Viking axe was a tool. And it's a very handy tool on the farm. It's a very handy tool on the march, in camp, and on a ship especially. Okay? Because you can actually climb rigging with an axe. Okay? So, now we're going to go to the main points of paired fighting. These are the things that you always have to remember. Okay, number 1, you are not ambidextrous. Do not go around claiming you're ambidextrous. Do not go around saying that you're ambidextrous. You are going to meet, if we ever do this at an actual event, you're going to meet half a room full of ambidextrous people, according to them. In actuality, scientifically, there's maybe only 1 to 3% of the population that are true ambidextrous. All right? You can fight okay with paired. You can be trained to fight with paired, but it needs a lot of work, and you will always be a little bit slower than a truly ambidextrous person. Understand that. Compensate for it. Figure out which one is your strong hand and which one is your weak hand when you fight paired. And believe it or not, it may not be the strong hand that you right with. When I fight paired, my left is stronger than my right.
And vice versa for me. I'm a left-handed writer, but my right hand is my primary.
Yeah. Okay. Figure that out. Number 2, the fork and the knife theory. 95% of all paired fighting is the fork and the knife theory. You pin it down with the fork, you cut and stab with the knife. That's all it really is. Fork and a knife theory. If you can understand that basic concept, you've pretty much got 90% of paired down. Okay? Strangely, every fair and event we go to, that is a very hard concept to get through to these people. Because they've seen shit in movies, they've seen stuff in anime, they've read about stuff. They're going to do it their way. And then they get beat and they get angry. Next, remember the gate. This is both defensive and offensive. If you're fighting paired, guess what? Your body naturally is only this wide. So guess what? There's a gate down the middle. Right down the middle, there's a gate. As for defense, understand, you have a gate. You need to block the gate. As an offense, you need to understand he has a gate. You can go through the gate. And usually that's how you get a paired swordsman or a paired fighter. You go through the gate. Especially those people who've watched too many ninja movies and they fight paired like this.
All right, yeah, that's
Where's the gate?
Everywhere.
Everywhere. All right? So understand that. All right? A lot of people, and this is kind of a side topic, but because we're talking about gates, how many people have seen anime where, especially Naruto, where he runs like this?
yes.
Why does he do that? Believe it or not, in certain martial arts, such as ninjutsu, they teach you to run like that.
But
Because as soon as you get close enough, it's an automatic launch. So now we're going to get to the part where we're going to demonstrate various aspects of paired fighting. I'm going to have Tom come out here and join me. So cloak fighting can be done with a longsword, with a rapier, with a side sword, with a saber, with a whatever. Dagger, whatever, all right? There are 3 aspects of cloak fighting. Number 1 is held. Number 2 is worn. Number 3 is wrapped. All right? English, French, Germans, usually it's held. Italians like worn. And I'll tell you a secret trick to that in a little bit. Everybody else, especially those people who are actually not trained at an actual fencing salon, uses the wrap. All right? How many people remember when I talked about armor and I said that the quilted gamazon or arming coat is armor? Layers of material is actually very good armor. Okay? Well, if you wrap your cloak around your arm, what have you done? You have armored your arm. All right? So a lot of times they'll wrap it, especially if they're a lowly trooper and they just have a cloak and a sword. They're not really well trained, whatever you want to call it. Okay? And so they would actually fight like this. Okay? And if he comes, you remember? Fork, knife. Okay? If he comes low, on this side he'll probably block with his sword, but on that side you can go here, you can do that, you can do that, okay? Yes, you may get cut. Yes, you'll probably break your arm, but it's better than getting cut into your body, right? And your strikes are here, 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 and here. And of course you could come in for a stab or punch him in the face with your cloak. Nah. Held. Held is a little weird because held you can use your cloak both offensively and defensively. If he's coming in at me, he's cutting the cloak and it's going to wrap him up. Fork, knife. See what I'm saying? He's coming here. He's going to get caught up. Yeah, it still may come in, but it's not going to hurt you a lot. Okay? All right? Fork, knife. But here's the trick. He's here. You can do that. And if he comes out, if he's stupid and he does a wide block out, see what I've just done? And then I close in and I've got him. Okay? Do not swing the cloak at the legs. too low, number one, you don't have the leverage. Right, look at that. I'm just dusting him off. I'm getting the cat hair off of him right now. Okay, go for the body, go for the head. Okay, notice how that kind of wrapped all the way around him. Okay, go for the body, go for the head. Last one, worn. I like worn. I really do. And Carl hates it when I fight him with this, with my old cloak. Because what they used to do in Italy is they would sew ball bearings on the corners of their cloak. So it does two purposes. Number one, when you're wearing your cloak walking around town and the wind bellows, it doesn't just blow it out, it makes it bellow. So it looks cool, all right? This thing's kind of warm.
Yep.
Number
Where's
two,
that during winter?
because when you fight it during worn, what you're doing is you're holding this end, okay? Sorry, I don't want to ruin your button here, okay? But imagine if there's a ball bearing there, okay? So if he's swinging at me, I can block it with my cloak. If he's swinging up, I can block it with my cloak. If he's swinging here, I can block it with my cloak. But if I swing out at him, see that whip action? It doesn't even have a ball bearing yet, okay?
Yeah.
Are you gonna sew a ball bearing on your cloak? Okay. See? Okay, I'm gonna hold this end because like I'm wearing it. Look. See that action? Imagine if there was a 3-ounce ball bearing, round ball bearing on the end of that.
Whack.
Whack. Okay? And again, fork, knife. Fork, knife.
It's like a flail.
It's basically a little tiny flail. And of course, this is why in Italy they prefer the long cloaks. Because you have distance now. Okay? So remember, 3 methods: worn, held, wrapped. Everybody with me so far? Next one is going to be the sword and dagger. This is the most common pairing. This is common all over. All right? Whatever country you're in, whatever country you have, pretend this is a rapier. I don't have one here today. It is very common. If you are a rapierist, this is probably what you will stand as. Sometimes you will go here. That's up to you. I prefer this method. Sometimes people will go here. This is very English, very Scottish. Okay? Especially if it's not a rapier or saber, but it's a backsword or a longsword. Okay? I'm going to use a longsword now. This is very common. Okay? And again, fork and knife. He's coming in, fork and knife. He's coming in, fork and knife. He's coming in, fork, and this is where having it reverse grip is better. Oh, but then how can you do the top? Well, come up on top. Look at that. If you go side, go here. If you go here, go here. Very important. Fork and a knife. Saber, obviously you're going to chop more. Saberists tend not to have a dagger because they have that slash and they want the balance of the free hand. Okay? So it's a slash. So they might have it tucked. Right? Slash, slash, slash. I'm close now. Okay? Very important. It can be the fork too. Okay? He's swinging this way. Why? Why cross across, right? He's swinging this way. Up, boom. Or if you like it straight up, this is where the rapierist has an advantage. He comes in, you take the rapier, you ping it out, and you just jab straight in. Everybody with me so far?
Aye.
Excellent. See? Easy. Same basic theory if you use a buckler. Okay, this is the second most common combination, by the way. Buckler with either a longsword, a rapier, a side sword, or a backsword. Bucklers were not used with sabers. Okay? Too weird to carry. All right? Again, it's a little different fork and a knife, but he's coming in, bunk. He's coming in, bunk. He's coming in, bunk. Okay? Bunk. I like carrying mine like this because then it is just like fighting. Okay? So, whoa, he's coming in. Ha, kung fu. Ha, kung fu. Ha, kung fu. Low. Ha, counter sembo. Bam. Okay? Same theory, if you look at it. How many people have noticed that already? Everything I've shown you is the same theory. Everything with the riposte is exactly the same. Okay? It's nothing amazing. It's nothing amazing. Until we get to the axe. Sword and axe is not a common thing, because in theory, if you were wealthy enough to own a sword, you would never fight with the axe. It's the whole D&D paladin thing. You always have the better material. Me, I say use whatever works. All right? The great thing about the axe, though, is it has a hook. You can hook. This is why Vikings were so particularly good. They cheat. Okay? So it is very possible for him to come in, boom, and I'll hook him. It is very possible for him to come in, boom, and I'll get close and I'll hook him. What does it have on the end?
Spike.
Go high, boom, spike.
Yeah.
Aren't you glad I didn't do it for real?
Yeah.
Okay.
Even with
All
the
right.
gut, that would suck.
Axes, very, very handy. Now, a lot of times you will see this combination, a dagger with an axe. This is very common for Vikings. If you're a brand new Viking, you have no money, you would be sent off on a ship's crew, you're a cabin boy, you're a gopher, whatever you want to call it, you would have an axe and a dagger, all right? 90% of the time the dagger will be in the strong hand because it is the more finesse weapon, okay? But the truth is, look, either hand, doesn't really matter. Again, hook, knife and a fork theory, okay? He's coming in, boom, stab, stab. He's coming in, boom, chop, chop. He's coming in, boom, hook, stab, whatever it takes. This is a, I would say not a common combination, but this is a desperate, everything else has broken combination. I'm running around, I'm just a page boy. I've got my dagger because I am a man at arms. I am allowed to carry a weapon. Oh my God, we're being overrun. I certainly don't own a sword, but there's the axe I used to chop the campfire wood with. I'm going to use it, and you should. I'm not going to do paired axes because I don't have two axes, number one, and number two, quite frankly, I feel paired axes is too limiting. Even though an axe is great for hooking and chopping and hacking and spiking, having two of them doesn't give you what's that one big, speedy, direct, what is the closest point between two targets?
Yeah.
It doesn't have a stabby. And sometimes you just want to stab.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to talk about little tips and tricks and things that you need to remember. Number one, mismatched swords. I'm fighting a battle, my shield is ruined, there's three of them, I see a sword, I pick it up. They don't match. All right? You need to understand having mismatched swords, different weight. Like even with these, this one is heavier. Why? It's got a cage. Okay? Even if you order the same model from the same company, there will be differences. A little bit of weight off, a little bit of height off, whatever it may be. You need to understand one is going to be heavier, one is going to be lighter. So it might be faster. And because you're used to working with two light ones maybe, this one will be too slow to get the block, all right? So that's the first thing. When you have mismatched weapons, and when we go do practical application, try mismatched weapons. Try mismatched swords, okay? Tom's two one-handers, ha 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 ha, even though they're technically two-handed long swords. By the way, Tom, imagine Tom walking around fair with two-handed longsword strapped to his belt. Okay? It's not practical. You're going to be laughed at. People are going to look at you weird. All right? Oh, and yeah, none of us are Henry, and we're not the Witcher, so we're not going to go around with two swords strapped to our back. Okay? Quite honestly, you know what people will say when they see that? Oh, hey, you're a sword seller. Which one's for sale? And how much? Because you didn't carry it that way.
Too hard to.
All right? And as a Marine who's gone to the field, I'll tell you, anything you strap on the back is pretty much useless. It's either out front or to your sides. Because by the time you reach over and get this, see, I can't even extend it past my back. Okay? Wait one.
Paige, I need you to take my swords off.
Yeah.
And then give
It's
them
too
to
late.
me.
It's too late. I will add one more thing. If you actually find yourself with a paired swords that are mismatched, always put the heavier one on your blocking hand. All right, why? Because you want to be able to attack fast. Okay? Remember your gates. I'm not, okay? So, hey, I'm here. Yeah, where's my gate? Right there. So I got to make sure I block it, right? Okay? Oh, hey, I'm here. Where's my gate? Actually, a little higher up, but okay, I got to make sure I block it. Everybody with me? Where's my gate? Maybe here.
Maybe. But that's
yeah.
the hardest block for you.
Okay. Oh, I'm an assassin. Where's my gate?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
I'm going to power through your
It's too
blocks.
short. It's too short. All right, so you got to be aware of it. All right. Last but not least, there is one major advantage that fighting paired has that fighting single does not. What it is that you have the ability to do a cross block. Where's my gate? But I'm tricking you. Come in for the gate. You think you're going to power through me? Come up top. You think you're going to power through me? You have the ability to do a cross block. And remember that. It is very useful. Where's my gate? Right. He's coming in. Okay, go. All right. High up. Now, if he's paired, you got to watch out for that one.
Because that one's just going to come in
Yeah.
right after.
All right. But to this side. And I don't know why anybody would do it against the rapiers, but okay, go low.
They want to expose things.
See what I'm saying? You cannot do a cross block if you're using a shield. You cannot do a cross block if you're using a buckler. Why? Because their weapon will slide off the buckler or the shield. But with anything else, you can do a cross block. I urge you to do a cross block.
Yeah.
I urge you to practice the cross block because that is one of the most greatest freaking things ever. If I fight paired, I fight Italian. Okay? It's a technique that's actually really not taught a lot anymore.
Z.
All right? He comes up. He comes low. He comes to the left. He comes to the right. And then I have him everywhere. And then my blocks are, look, questions. Using a cloak. What are the 3 methods of using a cloak?
Worn, held, and wrapped.
Worn, held, and wrapped. Which one do you like?
I like worn.
You like worn? Yeah, I like to. Yeah. How many people are now going to sew ball bearings on their cloaks? Yeah. By the way, that is a misdemeanor if you're caught.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
So
Technically
into the
illegal.
lining.
Yeah. Give me one of the main points of paired fighting.
Fork and knife.
Fork and knife. Ellie, give me another one.
Remember your gate.
Remember your gate. Very important. I should actually add cross blocks to one of the main points. So we'll do that. Cross block is one of the main points. Okay.
I do have a question. 2 attacks at the same time.
Can be done. Has been done. Very Scottish. Very barbarian. Looks really pretty, but not very practical. Really? You're gonna attack like that? You're gonna attack like that? You're gonna attack like that? You're gonna attack like that?
I've done it.
Can you do it? Of course you can. Have I done it? Of course I have. But it's not practical. I wouldn't use it in tournament. Yes.
I feel like it would make more sense if you did 2 stabs at the same time.
It
Like
could.
one to
It
top,
can
one
be
to
done like that
back.
too.
But then it's really hard to get back into.
True.
Yeah. All right. And what do? Yeah, he's coming at you. He's gonna and pretend I have swords. He's going to do 2 stabs at once. That's what you're going to do. You got to be on your feet. You got to work your movement. Do what you need to do. And then what we're going to do is we're going to spend most of the rest of the day having you guys out there fighting each other with paired.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Now, the first section of us doing this, I do not want jackets. I do not want masks. So you're going to go at like literally quarter speed, and you're just going to get used to the movement. Okay. So we're going to take it a little easier. It's hot. All right. Break. Good job.